Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum dear students. My name is Hazrat Bilal, Coordinator, Department of Education, Sarhad University of Science and Information Technology. As you know, today is our 6th lecture of the subject General Methods of Teaching. As you know, in previous lecture we discussed something about the problem solving approaches. Today we are going to discuss something about the methods of teaching, that what are the different methods which the teacher adopting while delivering their lecture in their classrooms. As we know that there are different types of teaching methods which can be categorized into 3 or 4 broad types. These are teacher centered method, learner centered method, content focused method, and interactive or participatory methods. We know it is the choice of the teacher that whenever the teacher visits his class or her class, evaluating the abilities of the student, judging their qualities, judging their learning capabilities, considering the overall situation or environment of the class, then the teacher consider the best possible teaching methodology through which they can impart knowledge to maximum number of students in a more effective pattern. So, sometimes a teacher adopting one particular method, sometimes they are adopting another particular method. It is the choice of the teacher. The teacher knows better what particular method the teacher need to consider, the teacher need to adopt to deliver their lecture, impart knowledge in a more better way, and to create a more conducive learning environment. So, the teacher may consider any method, depends upon the situation and depends upon his or her choice. The first method which a teacher used, that is instructor or teacher centered method. This is a very common and very prominent method which is used almost from so many decades. This is a method where the teacher delivering the lecture, the students are available in the class or the audience are present at the time of delivery of their lecture. They are watching, they are listening their lecture, they are writing down the important points which the teacher mentioned on the whiteboard or the blackboard or the projector or multimedia. Here the teacher explain the topics, giving detailed explanation about a particular topic, elaborate a topic, give them real life applications. If there are certain equation, the teacher deriving the equation. If there are certain conclusion, the teacher comes to the conclusion, explaining the equations. Whatever activities are performing during this method, the teacher adopt all those activities and all those methods. So, here the teacher casts himself or herself in the role of being a master of the subject matter. The teacher is looked upon by the learners as an expert or an authority. Here the teacher elaborate everything, because here the role of a teacher is a master of the subject matter. The teacher focusing on the outline, the teacher focusing upon the content, the teacher focusing upon the time duration and delivering the lecture. Here if you consider an example, the example of such methods are expository or lecture method. What are lecture method? Lecture method is a process in which the teacher delivering the lecture, imparting the lecture, explaining a topic in front of the audience, writing some important points, equation, numericals on the blackboard or whiteboard, and allowing the student to write it down or note it down in their notebooks. This is a method which requires very little or no involvement of the learners in the teaching process. Question answer sessions are very rare in this case. Assigning of presentations or topics for assignments, they are very rare. These activities are performed very less in this particular case. Their involvement is very low. Here the teachers are bound to deliver the lecture. The students are bound to just watch and listen and write it down in their notebooks. Question and answer session, they can't ask many questions from the teachers because the method of teaching is different. That is why in this particular method there is a very less involvement or no involvement of the learner. It is also for this lack of involvement of the learner in what they are taught, and such methods are called closed ended. These are closed ended in a sense that the students are bound, they are closed, do not ask any question, do not interact during the lecture. They are a type of in a closed environment that you are not allowed to ask questions, you are not allowed to present your topic, you are not allowed to discuss a topic with your teacher during this particular in this particular method. That is why it is termed as closed ended method. So, the instructor method, teaching centered method, this is a method where the teacher is solely involved, performing all the activities by himself or herself, and the involvement of the teacher, the involvement of the students, involvement of the learner, they are very passive, they are very rare, or there is no involvement to some extent. The second method, that is refers to learner centered method. In learner centered method, the teacher or instructor is both a teacher and a learner at the same time. How? This is a process in which the teacher allowing the student to ask questions, interact wherever you are facing the problem. In this particular case, the teacher learn from their students as well, because no one is perfect. There are certain questions, there are certain knowledge which the students share with their teachers, and the teacher learns something new. And of course, the teacher play a vital role, giving lots of explanation, giving details knowledge about a particular topic, so the student also learns something. That is why we can say it is a two-way process. It is not a one-way process, it is a two-way process where they learn lots of different things. The students learn lots of different things from the teacher, and the teacher also learns something. So, at that same time, both parties, teacher and student, both are learning from each other. That is why it is a learner centered method. It is called learner centered method in a sense that every party, every individual involved in this method. The teacher plays a dual role as a learner as well as, the teacher plays a dual role as a learner as well, so that in his classroom extend rather than contracts his intellectual origins. The teacher tried to expand his class, they do not want to contract it, they want to extend it. Why extend it? Because the teacher want to make this class as an open forum for all the students. Whatever questions, whatever ambiguities, whatever doubts they have in their mind, they are free to ask, they are allowed to ask from the teacher. This is a method where the student learn a lot. This is a method where the teacher become more engaged with their students. The teachers share their experiences, their abilities, their knowledge, their teaching methodologies with the students. Similarly, the students also share lots of things with their teachers. Also, the teacher do not want to contract it. Certain constraints the teacher do not want to implement. Why? If you are implementing certain limitations or some limitations which are very strict, it will affect the learning abilities of the students. The student may not share their core values, the student may not share their problems which they are facing. The student may not share their goals and objectives which they have for their future. The student may not come for any guidance and counseling activities with you as you are implementing certain restrictions. So it's better to avoid any restriction. It's better to ignore any restriction and provide a free platform to your students so that they could learn more, they could learn a lot. That's why we can say that the teacher also learn new things every day which he or she didn't know in the process of teaching. So in the process of teaching, lots of new things arise in the mind of the teacher, in the mind of the students. They are sharing with each other and they are getting benefits from each other. That's why it's better to follow learning center method, as every individual is wholly solely involved. Example of this method is discussion method, discovery or inquiry based approach, and the Hill's model of learning thoughts discussion. Learning thoughts discussion, meaning to say whatever problem the student facing, the teacher facing, they are sharing with each other, they are communicating with each other, and they are communicating for the sake of improvement, not for the sake of criticisms, because they are sharing all these things for the sake of improvement, that both parties should gain benefits of it. Their skills, their abilities, their knowledge should become more and more polished. They should become more practical, and they should become more and more advanced and task oriented. So that's why this is called the learner centered method, that every individual learning something newly in this particular case. Third method, which the teacher following, that is content focused method. In this method, both the teachers and the learners have to fit into the content that is taught. Generally, this means the information and skills to be taught are regarded as sacrosanct or very important. As we know that before starting an academic session, an outline is get developed, certain contents are get developed, courses are get developed, that these are the particular contents which you need to cover, these are the particular book which you need to cover, these are the outlines which you need to cover. Within that particular session, the teacher also focusing upon those contents, the student also focusing upon those contents, that with a specified time duration, both parties need to cover these available contents. Within that contents, course contents, their tests will be conducted, their midterm exams will be conducted, their final term exams will be conducted, and based on those conductions, they will gain certain grades. That's why every activities, every point which are available in those contents, the teacher and the student both need to follow it wholly solely. They should never deviate from it. If they are deviating, it means they are deviating from their teaching methodology. If they are deviating, it means they are not following the content focused method. They are switching towards any other method. So a lot of emphasis is laid on the clarity and careful analysis of content. In this particular case, stress is given on the content which they have to cover, because the contents which they have to cover, within that content they have to appear for exams, they have to appear for quiz, monthly tests, weekly tests, assignments, presentations. So both parties have to focus upon the content in this particular method. That's why it is called content focused method. An example of a method which subordinates the interest of the teacher and the learner to the content is the programmed learning approach. As we discussed, that based on proper planning for next academic session, certain contents are derived, certain rules and regulations are derived, a procedure for teaching, a procedure for outlines are derived, and that procedure, that policies, that outlines, that contents they have to follow within a particular specific time duration. So, this method is called content focused method, because contents are the focal point in this particular method. The fourth one is the interactive or participative method. This fourth category, it is actually borrows a bit from three other methods without necessarily laying emphasis unduly on either the learning, content or teacher. These methods are driven by the situational analysis of what is the most appropriate thing for us to learn, do know, given the situation of learners and the teachers. They require a participatory understanding of varied domains and factors. As we discussed three different methods, this fourth method, this is actually the derivation, this method is actually derived from all those methods, and we give them a separate category in the sense because it depends upon the situation. In a class, if you consider the teacher focusing upon the contents as well, the teacher delivering the lectures as well. So, a teacher following different methods within the same class. Sometimes they are allowing the student to participate, sometimes they are not allowing the student to participate. So, when a teacher delivering a lecture, the teacher go for situational analysis, that in this particular situation, what will be the best suitable method which we need to adopt? What will be the best suitable method which we need to adopt? So, the adaptation of that best suited method, that is interactive or participatory method. Here the teacher bringing certain variations in his or her teaching methodology, analyzing the situation or based on situational analysis, observing the situation, observing the students, their mentality, and then changing the teaching methodology, either to follow content method, either to follow teacher learner method, central learner method. Different methods the teacher then adopting. Why? Because one method never suit fit with every situation. So, with the passage of time, from time to time, the teacher bringing variation, the teacher changing his or her teaching methodology in order to engage the students and impart the knowledge in a more better way and to create a more conducive learning environment. That is why the teacher always changing his or her teaching methodology within the same class. So, dear students, these were the four different methods. After this, we have to move towards the qualities of a good lecture. What qualities should a lecturer have when the teacher wants to deliver his or her lecture? So, a good lecture should not be too long as to exceed the trainee's attention span, normally up to 25 minutes. A good lecture should not be too much long. It should not be too much long for the reasons that the student, according to the research work, the students are unable to focus a particular point, focus a particular slide or focus a particular lecture continuously for not more than 18 to 25 minutes. They are unable to concentrate properly, they are unable to focus properly beyond their time limitations. So, a good lecture is one in which there are certain gaps. The teacher need to be a bit friendly, they have to involve the student with their lectures, they have to ask certain questions, they have to confer certain fun, certain gossips with the teacher, with the students under certain limitations. So, this is a way through which the teacher can make his or her lecture more interesting. A good lecture should address a single theme. a particular topic. It's not good that the teacher should touch lots of different areas, lots of different topics, while in lesson plan only single topic is mentioned. It is not good. The student will get confused. They might become unable to understand lots of different topics at the same time. So, the theme of the topic, the theme of the lecture should be one, focus should be given on the same theme, just relevant example, relevant explanation need to be offered to the students, and that is it. No need to discuss lots of different examples, lots of different topics. The student will get confused and they may not be able to learn the single topic as well. So, that is why a good lecture should address a single theme. In a good lecture, technical terms are carefully explained. Where are the technicalities? Where are the logical backgrounds? Where there are certain equations, certain numericals, certain important points, certain steps which are important, the teacher need to explain it on priority basis. The teacher need to give careful explanation about all those things, because in every lecture there are certain turning points which turn the student mentality towards the whiteboard, towards the blackboard, towards the teacher. So, those turning points it need to be properly addressed. Familiar examples and analogies are given. The example which the teacher need to explain, it should be clear, it should be understandable for the students. ऐसा ना हो कि अगर आप पाक स्टडी बढ़ा रहे हो और पाक स्टडी में आप फिजिक्स, केमिस्ट्री, बायो के एग्जाम्पल दिया करें. आर्ट्स लेवल सब्जेक्ट्स हैं या साइंस लेवल सब्जेक्ट्स है, लॉट्स ऑफ कन्फ्यूजन विल बी देयर. जो एग्जाम्पल्स टीचर ने देने हैं वो एग्जाम्पल ऐसे होने चाहिए जो कि स्टूडेंट के साथ रिलेटेड हो, उसके रियल लाइफ के साथ अटैच्ड हो, फेमिलियरिटी हो. सो इसी तरीके से जो एग्जाम्पल स्टूडेंट को मुहैया किए जाएंगे, दे विल बी एबल to memorize it, they will be able to understand and they will be able to learn. So, a good lecture establishes fluency in technical contents. There should be fluency, there should be continuity. One topic should be related with another one, one word should be related with another one, one sentence should be related with another one, it should be linked. So, those links will make a chain and their chain will help the student in better understanding of the topic, better understanding of the lecture. Technical contents, it should be properly addressed. If there are any complexities and technicalities, the teacher need to address it properly and give certain cautions to the students to focus upon those particular technical contents so that they may learn it more betterly. Also, a good lecture uses illustration and examples. They are using illustration and examples. These are the ways through which you can attract the mentalities of the students. These are the ways through which you can engage the students with your lecture. These are the ways through which you can emphasize the student to focus upon your content. A good lecture builds on existing knowledge, whatever knowledge you have, it will support your lecture. Whatever knowledge you have to deliver it. Whatever knowledge you have, it should be according to the theme of the lecture, it should be according to the nature of the subject, and it should be according to the mentalities of the students. Consider the standard of the student, consider the level and grades of the student, then impart your knowledge accordingly. And a good lecture employs a variety of approaches. Yes, as we discussed, that lots of different teaching approaches are there. Any particular approach which the teacher seems fit, which the teacher seems more profitable, which the teacher seems most best for the student, they may follow it, they may impart knowledge, they may deliver their lecture accordingly. There are different approaches wherever the teacher needs comfortable to adopt a particular method, so yes, they are free to adopt. There are no time limitations. The teachers are not bound. The teachers are just bound to create a conducive learning environment, to provide an environment which is suitable for learning, provide an environment which is free from biases, provide an environment which is free from discrimination, free from favoritism. Equal opportunities of learning should be available for everyone. These are the certain qualities of a good lecture. If a lecture ignores these points, so the lecture may be still good but not perfect. That's why we need to focus upon the actual theme of the topic, actual theme of the lecture, the overall scenario of the class, learning capabilities of the student, and then we need to continue with the same path. After this, we are going to move towards another important topic, which is called teacher preparation. Now, what we mean from teacher preparation? As a teacher delivering his or her lecture. So, when the teacher delivering his or her lecture, so before coming to the class, the teacher need to prepare a script. The teacher need to realize what I am going to teach, what are the questions I need to ask, what are the topics which I need to cover, what are the areas which I need to explain more and more, what are the areas upon which I need to give more focus, what are the areas where I have to ask some relevant questions from the students to check their knowledge, to check their background about this particular topic. The teacher also need to go for rehearsal before coming to the class. The teacher also need to make his or her concept clear, that what I am teaching today, what I will teach tomorrow. The teacher also think that what will be suitable standards which I need to adopt while delivering my lecture. What could be my dressing, what could be my words, what instruments, what projector, laptops, whiteboard, blackboard should I need, what teaching methodology should I need to adopt. So, lots of tasks are there on the side of the teacher, because the teacher have to communicate his or her knowledge to lots of different students available in his or her class. That is why he need to be well prepared. So, rehearse your presentation in advance of the lesson, as we discussed that the teacher need to go for certain rehearsal. As long as you are going for rehearsal, your lecture will be best, because rehearsal, this gives an opportunity to remove any flaws if available from your lecture. Anticipate any difficult steps, possible interruptions. Wherever you feel कि इस पर्टिकुलर पॉइंट में मुश्किलात हैं, उसको पहले ख़ुद सॉल्व करो, उसको ख़त्म करो. जो इम्पॉर्टेंट स्टेप है, डिफ़िकल्ट स्टेप्स हैं, उसके बारे में एक आइडिया जनरेट करो कि इसी डिफ़िकल्ट स्टेप्स को मैंने इसी अंदाज में समझाने हैं, ये एग्ज़ाम्पल देने हैं, इन बात का हवाला देना है. प्रीवियस टॉपिक के साथ अगर लिंक है तो प्रीवियस लेक्चर, प्रीवियस टॉपिक का हवाला देना है, सो दैट द स्टूडेंट may get clear. The student may get clear about all those difficult steps. जो possible interruptions है, जो possible questions की possibility है, उसको भी address करें कि इस टॉपिक पर ऐसे नेचर के questions आ सकते हैं. It should also need to be addressed. Obtain all materials, tools, equipments, visual and teaching aids in advance and check their useful conditions. जो मटेरियल आपने यूज़ करने हैं, पहले उसकी कंडीशन को देख के आया वो करामत है या नहीं, पहले उसकी कंडीशंस को देखें कि आया वो वर्केबल कंडीशन में है या नहीं. हम उससे डिज़ायर्ड आउटकम्स या डिज़ायर्ड मिकदार में जिसके जो फ़ायदे हैं वो ले सकते हैं या नहीं. जो इक्विपमेंट मैं लेता हूँ, मैं यूज़ करता हूँ, लेट्स सपोज प्रोजेक्टर है, मल्टीमीडिया है, लैपटॉप है, वो फ्लुएंसी के साथ काम करते हैं या नहीं. जो ऑडियो वीडियो एड्स हैं, AV एड्स हैं, क्या वो जो टॉपिक मैं पढ़ाता हूँ उस टॉपिक के साथ वो रिलेटेड हैं या नहीं। ऑडियो वीडियो लेक्चर मैंने कौन से टाइम यूज़ करने हैं, किस टॉपिक के साथ मैं इसको रिलेट करूँगा ताकि स्टूडेंट को बेहतर तरीके से समझ आ जाए। सो इन सब की चिकन बैलेंस बहुत ज़्यादा नेसेसरी है और ये चिकन बैलेंस हर टीचर करेगा बिफोर द स्टार्ट ऑफ हिज और हर लेक्चर। अगर आपने इसको इवैल्यूएट नहीं किया, इसको जज नहीं किया, इसको स्टडी नहीं किया, योर लेक्चर में बी अ फेल्ड लेक्चर। इट्स बेटर टू कंसिडर ऑल दीज थिंग्स। हैव ऑल मटेरियल विद इन रीच एंड कन्वीनियंटली अरेंज्ड। जो अवेलेबल मटेरियल है वो अरेंज्ड फॉर्म में हो, ऐसा ना हो कि बाद में आपका लेक्चर डिस्टर्ब करे। सिक्वेंशियल ऑर्डर में हो, जो टॉपिक पढ़ाते हो उसके बाद जो नेक्स्ट टॉपिक है सिक्वेंशियल ऑर्डर हो, जो एवीएड्स यूज़ करने हैं सिक्वेंशियल ऑर्डर में हो, जो एग्जांपल्स आप लोगों ने देने हैं सिक्वेंशियल ऑर्डर में हो। तो ये सिक्वेंशियल ऑर्डर आपने बनाना है बिफोर स्टार्टिंग द लेक्चर कि किस टाइम मैंने कौन सा एग्जांपल देना है, किस टाइम मैंने कौन सी एवीएड यूज़ करनी है, ये सब अरेंजमेंट आपने पहले से करनी होती है। इसके अलावा रिमूव extraneous materials, check lighting, visibility, student grouping and proximity to electric, gas and water outlets। ये कुछ सेफ्टी प्रिकॉशंस हैं अब कि जब आप लेक्चर शुरू करते हैं तो एटलीस्ट यू शुड कंसिडर योर सराउंडिंग इनसाइड द क्लास कि मैं तो क्लास लेता हूँ, क्लास में विजिबिलिटी कितनी है, लाइटिंग क्लियर है या नहीं, लाइट ऐसा है किस तरह स्टूडेंट मुझे नज़र आते हैं, वो जो कॉपी नोटबुक्स में लिख रहे हैं उसको नज़र आते हैं, जो मैं जो वाइट बोर्ड पर लिख रहा हूँ मुझे वाइट बोर्ड या ब्लैक बोर्ड क्लियर है, स्टूडेंट और टीचर के बीच जितना गैप है उसको टीचर भी नज़र आता है, ब्लैक बोर्ड वाइट बोर्ड भी नज़र आता है। तो ये सारे लाइटिंग प्रोसीजर ये सब कुछ चेक करने हैं। इसके अलावा मॉडर्न दौर है, हर जगह पर गैस इलेक्ट्रिसिटी इसकी अवेलेबिलिटी है, तो देखो कि इसकी पोजीशन क्या है, कोई डेंजरस तो नहीं है, बोर्ड्स वगैरह लगी हुई हैं, बटन्स वगैरह लगी हुई हैं, द टीचर नीड टू चेक इट। ऐसा ना हो कि स्टूडेंट आर इनोसेंस, तो ऐसा ना हो कि वो गलती से उसको हाथ लगाए, कुछ फिजिकल डैमेजेस अल्लाह ना करे आ जाए। सो ऑल दीज थिंग्स which are certain safety precautions, it also need to be addressed, it also need to be covered. Plan to use a skill or method to advantage. Work from simple to complex, one step at a time. हमेशा जो easy topic है, जो easy example है, इसको at the beginning present करें. Later on, step by step you need to move ahead. अब स्टेप बाय स्टेप आपने आगे जाने हैं, तो जब आपने स्टेप बाय स्टेप आगे जाने हैं, इट मीन्स स्टेप बाय स्टेप आप कम्प्लेक्सिटी की तरफ जाओ, स्टेप बाय स्टेप कॉम्प्लेक्स एग्जांपल्स की तरफ जाओ। एक स्टेप हमेशा एक टाइम पर परफॉर्म किया करें। क्लास को वो जंबल क्लास ना बनाए, क्लास को पजल क्लास ना बनाए। Make it very very soft, make it very very clear for your students, because the students are always innocent, they knows nothing, you know everything. If they knows nothing, you know everything, so you have to take care of your words, you have to take care of your procedure, you have to take care of your teaching methodology, because these are the teaching methodologies which will help you a lot, which will be on your part, so you have to focus upon it. इसके अलावा जब आपने प्रिपरेशन कर दी, रिहर्सल भी कर दी, अब आप आते हो लेक्चर प्रेजेंटेशन की तरफ। आपकी लेक्चर प्रेजेंटेशन कैसी है? सो मेक श्योर ऑल स्टूडेंट कैन सी एंड हियर द लेसन। यस, जब तक वॉइस क्लैरिटी ना हो या कुछ कम्युनिकेशन बैरियर्स हैं या कुछ कम्युनिकेशन गैप्स हैं, उस वक्त तक आपका लेक्चर जो है वो इफेक्टिव नहीं हो सकता। योर लेक्चर विल बी इफेक्टिव ओनली दैट इफ देयर इज़ नो डिस्टॉर्शन, इफ देयर इज़ नो बैरियर गैप्स, if there are no communication lapses, if there are no flaws, you will be able to deliver a perfect lecture. Be enthusiastic, professional, effective, but not dramatic. You need to show professionalism up to extreme level. If the student asking certain questions, never make fun of them. Maybe their questions will be very murky for you, their questions will be very simple for you, but their student, they knows nothing, but you knows everything. You have to deal such types of students with great professionalism as well. Never discourage them, always encourage them. Never create your fear in the heart of the student. Try to create respect in the hearts of the student. These are opposite cases. If you are creating fear for yourself in the mind of the student, in the hearts of the student, your respect level will be decreased. It's better create respect, your respect in the mind of the student, in the hearts of the student. And it is possible only if your behavior is completely professional. Your words are effective, your teaching methodologies are effective, the environment which you are creating, that should be effective. So your professionalism, it will be increased, student will be able to learn more and more, because you are neither discourage them, neither stopping them from asking the question, you are encouraging them. Relax, use any mishaps or humor to your advantage. Always try to be relaxed. No need to be in puzzle. If certain mishaps happen, try to take it as an advantage for yourself. As a teacher, you will learn from them and you will learn a new method to tackle a new issue which you are facing on a routine basis. So take every mishap as your advantages. It will give you new knowledge, it will give you new learning styles, it will promote your professionalism more and more, because you are dealing another issue, a separate issue, in a more professional pattern. That's why it will help you a lot. Keep eye contact with the class. Ask and encourage class questions. It's compulsory that you judge your student, you evaluate your student, and for this purpose there must be a proper eye contact. That eye contact will realize you that either your students are taking interest in your lectures or no, they are busy in gossips, they are playing games in their notebooks, or they are just gossips with each other. So it's better to have a proper eye contact. It's better to observe your students periodically on routine basis. Also encourage the student for asking lots of questions if they have in their mind relevant to that particular topic, relevant to the theme of the lecture. If you are allowing them, if you are encouraging them, their learning capabilities will be increased, they will learn more and more. So it's better to work upon it. Explain why and how. Use the techniques of show and tell. Try to be elaborative at every time. Try to give explanation at every time. Why and how. This should be the objective of your class. Why this happened, how it happens. It will develop higher order thinking skills. It will develop critical thinking abilities of the student. It will develop brainstorming abilities of the student. And also go for show and tell, go for presentation, go for some audio video tools. These are the ways which will help you a lot. Also use a medial summary to strengthen your explanation. Whenever you are delivering a lecture, so the summary of the lecture, it play a very vital role, because you are summarizing your whole discussion. Whenever you are summarizing the whole discussion, so that summary, it will give whole advantage to your student. You are giving a comprehensive detail at the end in the form of summary. So those students whose minds are a bit disturbed divert during the lecture. So, at the end, whenever you are summarizing the lecture, you are giving a brief summary of your lecture about what you teach today. It will help those particular students a lot. So, it is better to use a middle summary to strengthen your explanations as well. So, dear students, it was all about our today's lecture, in which we discussed something in real detail about different teaching methods, in which we discussed qualities of a good lecture. Then we discussed some teacher preparation, that whenever the teacher wants to deliver a lecture, what necessary preparation the teacher need to perform. And then we discussed something about the lecture presentation, that how the teacher will present his or her presentation. I hope आप लोगों को हमारा आज का लेक्चर पसंद आया होगा. इंशाल्लाह कमिंग क्लास, जिसमें हम लेक्चर नंबर 7 से स्टार्ट लेंगे, आपकी खिदमत में फिर से हाजिर होंगे. तब तक के लिए इजाज़त दीजिए. अल्लाह हाफ़िज़ व मा अलैना इल्लल बलाग.